Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Guys YouTube channel where the Force is family. I am Master Paul, joined by my special guest.
The Matcave.
Yes. And we are here to review possibly the strangest movie ever made. It's a movie called Rubber. Now, let me explain how I first heard about this movie. I first heard about it due to the Matcave, and he told me and Coffee and Korriban about this movie on just a random stream we were having together. And when I first heard about it, heard what the premise was, I thought he was joking. But then he showed me the actual physical copy that he had, and he recommended this movie to me. So, how did you first hear about this movie?
I first heard about Rubber very similar to the way you did. It was a recommendation. This was years ago when I was at work one day, and a colleague of mine said, "Hey, you got Netflix, right?" I say, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, go watch Rubber." I said, "What?" He goes, "Go watch Rubber." I said, "What's it about?" He said, "It's about a killer tire." I said, "Okay, I'm interested." And he insisted that it's a must watch and explain the premise. And I thought to myself, well, I can't pass that up. And I sat down and watched one of the strangest films I've ever seen in my life. And since then, I have recommended it to pretty much anyone who will listen.
Yes, and I'm certainly glad that I listened to this because holy cow, was this movie something. I'm still I think the best way that I can explain it is every adjective that you can think of fits this movie. It's the best movie, it's the worst movie, it's the grossest movie, it's the funniest movie, it's the scariest movie. All of those, it is that movie at the same time.
It's a
And,
film that takes like when a movie or show is self-aware, it takes
mhm.
that self-awareness to a whole new level.
Yes. And I think that what you just said there is best exemplified in like the opening monologue the sheriff character gives. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
read this monologue word for word. I had to
Ooh,
look this up,
that's fantastic. Yeah.
but you'll see what I mean as you listen to this. So here's the monologue. In the Steven Spielberg movie E.T., why is the alien brown? No reason. In Love Story, why do the characters fall madly in love with each other? No reason. In Oliver Stone's JFK, why is the president suddenly assassinated by some stranger? No reason. In the excellent Chainsaw Massacre by Tobe Hooper, why don't we ever see the characters go to the bathroom or wash their hands like people do in real life? Absolutely no reason. Worse, in the Pianist by Polanski, how come this guy has to hide and live like a bum when he plays the piano so well? Once again, the answer is no reason. I could go on for hours with more examples. The list is endless. You probably never gave it a thought, but in all great films, without exception, contain an important element of no reason. And you know why? Because life itself is filled with no reason. Why can't we see the air all around us? No reason. Why are we always thinking? No reason. Why do some people love sausages and other people hate sausages? No F word reason. That is this movie in a nutshell. Everything just happens in this movie. There's a tire that just happens to stand up on its own and come alive and just start rolling down the road for no reason. Comes across a water bottle and decides to roll over it and crush it for no reason. Tries to crush a beer bottle, can't, but then starts vibrating itself to a certain frequency and the beer bottle explodes for no reason. And then it starts killing people. Well, I would say for no reason, but to be fair, the people kind of disrespected it first.
This is true.
Yes. Now, that's crazy on its own. But add on to the fact that there are people watching this as if it were a movie, but they're actually there in the same desert area watching it through binoculars, but they're making the same comments. It's like in a movie, like, hey, can't you stop commenting about everything on this movie? Or, Dad, I gotta go to the bathroom. Or, son, stop being so negative. Stuff like that. And even that gets stranger.
Yes, it does. It's that opening monologue is perfect because it sets the tone for what you're about to witness so perfectly. It's just a bunch of ridiculous questions that no one would have asked. But we are presented with just because.
Yes.
This movie is just because.
It is. In fact, that's probably the answer to why does this movie exist? Just because.
Yeah. And I like how you put it before, how it's like it's the best movie and it's the worst movie all at the same time. It's the scariest, it's the funniest. It's just there's moments throughout this film that just really, if you're trying to think about it, you're just going to give yourself a headache.
You will see me do that in the reaction video that I did just before this. I'll be editing that tomorrow. But yeah, you'll see exactly what he's talking about with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this tire, not only does he kill people, but he has this weird attraction for this girl just driving down the road in her red little car. Again, doesn't explain why or what he wants. There's just a random scene of him watching her shower for some reason.
I mean, he's even in the shower at one point.
Yeah. I mean, why does the tire feel like it needs to bathe? Other than the fact that, no reason.
He's been rolling around the desert all day, blowing up crows.
Yeah. And then, of course, the police in this movie were, well, the lieutenant specifically, because we see him give the opening monologue, but it isn't the last time we see him, because he is like the only actor aware that he is an actor in this movie. And at a certain point, you see that one of the guys responsible for the movie brings in a roast turkey for all the viewers to eat in a very weird scene by itself. Like, I thought they were going to start cannibalizing each other. They were so bloodthirsty. But turns out the turkey was poisoned and they all die except one of them who didn't eat the turkey. But they thought that he was dead. So they're like, okay, that's it, everyone. You can go home. We can stop acting. But then they're like, wait a minute. We got to keep going because this guy didn't eat the turkey. And this is right after, by the way, the lieutenant got shot like 3 different times in the chest and shrugged it off like nothing.
He comes back later. His uniform's all messed up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a film that this movie came out in 2011, I believe it was, and it had been out for at least 2 years when I saw it for the first time. And I watch tons of movies, whether it's a B movie, big blockbuster, even just we'll call them C movies. Like I don't even know what to categorize this movie in. This is in a genre of all its own.
It is.
But you really can't unsee it. It's just once you've experienced this movie, you're never going to forget it.
No, you're not. I can tell right now this movie is going to be with me for a while, and I'm definitely going to be recommending this movie to all my friends at work.
Now, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but without saying what happens, what did you think
I got
the ending? Oh, spoiler! I forgot you did that.
Yeah.
Big spoiler warning.
Yes. The fact that...
did you think of the ending?
The ending is probably the perfect example of what I said earlier about it being the best movie and the worst movie at the same time. Because even the ending was like the best and worst ending possible, where the lone survivor of the audience comes down to the scene and actually somewhat gets involved, albeit just getting to see closer. The tire dies in probably the most anticlimactic, unceremonious way, where the lieutenant just blasts him with a shotgun off screen and then just tosses the remains out, only for the spirit of the tire to go into a tricycle. And the tricycle makes the guy in the wheelchair blow up, but not just his head, everything, wheelchair included. And then suddenly the trike starts riding down the road and other tires start following and they're heading for Hollywood. Why?
Yep. I'm still waiting for Rubber 2.
Yeah, like I'm imagining what Rubber 2 might look like if suppose Rubber 2 might look like this. Rubber, the tricycle and all his tire friends, just because they go fight terrorists in Iraq.
They could. I mean, it's very reminiscent of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Did you ever see that?
No.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So I just said the words Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and that's the first you've heard.
Okay. That is the first I've heard of it.
So it's exactly what it sounds like it is. It's killer tomatoes. And they're rolling down the streets and they're going after people. So
wow.
This movie was very reminiscent of that. The why is this happening with no explanation, and it's just ridiculous. But it's entertaining. They made a sequel. There was not only did they make a sequel to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, there was a Saturday morning cartoon series that I grew up watching.
Was this like some weird Adult Swim thing or something?
This was Saturday morning, dude. This was get your box of Captain Crunch and have a bowl of cereal and watch Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Man, the 80s were awesome.
I guess I gotta look this up then.
Yeah. That'll be a Google search for you. You're not going to believe what you see. But I promise you, just like I promised you that Rubber is real, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is real.
We're doing this
a big inspiration for Rubber.
We're doing this right now. We're doing this right now. Okay, well, here's the Wikipedia page. A 1978 American parody film. So there's the theatrical release poster. Let's see. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I could see where a Saturday morning cartoon could be made from that, in sort of the same vein as like the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yep. Like this shot there where he's wearing like the eye patch and stuff like that, and they're all goofy looking. That's the sequel. But the first one was more of just like it's tomatoes, dude. It's tomatoes.
Like this here.
Yeah. But it's like a mad scientist was doing these experiments, and they became sentient, and then they went on the attack. I had Attack of the Killer Tomato toys. I had, it was.
So they made an entire franchise of this.
Yep, out of a crazy late 70s B movie.
I didn't think that my mind could be blown any further having just seen this movie, but you accomplished it.
You're welcome.
Let's get back to talking about Rubber, but at the same time, I think that's kind of it. Like, really, what else is there to talk about? The actors are, I mean, it's a parody movie. They're exactly how you expect, both good and bad. That's like this whole movie in a nutshell. Everything about it is both good and bad at the same time, and it's amazing.
that's the thing about this film, is that it's difficult to talk about it, because in order to talk about it, you kind of have to experience it. The movie's an experience. It's like going on a ride,
Yes.
and you don't know what to expect, and it's just okay, whatever happens on this ride, I'm in. And then afterwards, you're just like, I don't. After even having watched it, I've watched this film quite a few times. It's still like, I don't even know how else to tell people what it is. It's
Yeah.
killer tire.
Like I'm still, even now, I know I say this every review that I do straight after watching a movie, but I really mean it when I say that I'm still trying to process what this movie was, having just seen it for the first time.
Yeah, it's, and you're gonna find yourself somewhere along the way. It'll come out of nowhere, and you're gonna recommend it to somebody.
I guarantee you I'm probably going to tell every person that I work with tomorrow about it. But I will say, one person I would not recommend this to, if you're watching, Jonathan, do not watch this movie. Seriously, don't.
Yeah, this is it has some brutal moments. It has some, it's got moments. This ain't
It
no,
does.
yeah, this is this is a movie without rules.
It's rated R for a reason.
Yeah, it's a hard R. But it's, at the end of the day, it's a fun film to definitely share the experience with people. You watched it the way I did. I watched it by myself and then had to like convince people to watch it.
Right.
But it's one of those films, like, you would want to get a group of friends together and all sit down and watch this, and then just talk about it at the end. Like, it's, I couldn't imagine having seen that in the theater, which I
Did
don't think
this
it
come
ever
out?
was. I don't think there was a theatrical release. I think this was like a straight to DVD sort of deal. But this was early days of Netflix. This was the type of content that was on Netflix in 2012, whatever it
I
was.
believe it.
And so I don't think there was a theatrical release of this. But could you imagine being in an audience of like 100, 200 people, and you all
That
just
would
experience this film? Like, do you leave the theater right away, or do you have to talk to somebody?
I would pay the admission fee just to see the audience watch the movie.
Mm-hmm. Which you kind of did, because there's the audience
Yeah,
in the movie.
very true.
But let me ask you this. So obviously it's difficult to compare this movie to anything, but
Hmm.
on a scale of 1 to 10 of enjoyment, what would you give, having just come off fresh from the movie? Where would this land for you?
Oh boy. There were a couple moments, admittedly, that I did think were legitimately stupid. And I'm not saying stupid in a fun, enjoyable way, just like legitimately, why are you doing this stupid? Like, as the one guy, the lone survivor, points out, the mannequin scene. That
Oh, and they're talking through the
over
walk. Yeah, come over,
yeah,
blow up my
especially
head.
especially when the man takes over the voice. That was like, come on, really?
Mhm.
Um so but even aside from that, this movie was amazing. So out of 10, based off enjoyability, as you said, I'm gonna go 9.
Wow, all right. Yeah, it's a fun ride. And one of the best parts of this movie is recommending it to other people.
Yes. Yes, it will be. So anything else we should mention about this movie before we call it?
I I think I think we have said all that there is that can be said about this film.
Yes.
Now it's up to you, the audience, anyone seeing this. It's up to you now.
Yes, indeed. If you have not seen this, if your name is not Jonathan Strassner, go watch this movie. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end this video. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Matcave, you want to say your outro?
Oh, absolutely. So this is the Matcave signing out, and as always, remember, keep retro gaming alive. because one day your games will be retro too.
And of course, for the Star Wars guys, I am Master Paul. We'll see you guys later, and just remember, the Force is family. Thank you very much.